everybody. We are back here for the reactions of Milan, Torino, and Coppa Italia. Martino Puccio, Miguel AJ with us today. Santangelo is very busy, but I'm not excited about this, but man, my sentiments from earlier today turned out to be true. Low scoring, awful type of game to play. Didn't really love us going into this match. Even the red card, to me, Miguel, wasn't that type of moment that was like, okay, now we'll put a few past them. It was never really the case. The creation was lacking. That's kind of what you're going to get when you field the lineup that Milan fielded. And even then, up a man, counterattack by Torino was perfect. Tomori just looked exhausted and tired and slow on that. Just all around. Really poor by Milan. Can't break a low block as per during this Pioli era. But yeah, I mean, this was a fully deserved loss. Can't create anything. Twice this season, Milan have lost to Torino. I can't think of the last time. Probably was against Inter, where Milan lost multiple times to the same club. Because right now, this was not a good performance. Don't really care about the competition like that, but regardless, you try and win everything you can. Coppa Italia, massive failure for Milan this year, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it just goes to show you how we're lacking quality depth. I mean, yeah, we have youngsters and they're talented, but once again, not having that experience comes to bite you in the ass, and injuries are also biting us in the ass as well. I mean, takeaways from this game really, we fielded some of our best players. They didn't play a full 90, which is good, but at the same time, we did waste some legs to lose to Torino. And that's just not good enough. Losing to Torino and crashing out of the Coppa Italia this early is just not good enough for Milan.
Up a man,
exactly.
Yeah. Sabrina, very disappointed. How are you? Jalal, do you think Pioli's time is up? No, a bit of an exaggeration. I don't even have much to take away from this. I'm not even trying to put positive spins on it. I thought if you want to talk about CDK played fine with what he had with him during that time he was starting before we subbed on the real guys. There was no creativity, and then after that, it was just a logjam of Torino sitting low block. It's more of a Milan thing. It's not really on CDK. Fully deserved. Like, this was just fully deserved. I have no arguments about it. I think there's a lot of people that get misconstrued by the way things are worded on Twitter about how sentiments are towards these matches. And the fact is this is you call a spade. Today sucked. They were not good enough. They were never good enough. From minute 1 to minute 120, which is really like, I talked about this with Anthony Torgrud. Give me the L in the first 90 minutes. I don't want these extra minutes being played now. We have Inter next week. We have Lecce this weekend. Tonali is suspended. We'll see who is put in place of him for that. I think we're getting a better idea of who that will be. Junior Messia's first match back in 2023. Not great. Really a part of the negativity as far as things go on that side of things. I think Serginho Dest, not too bad, but really just overall, the final product with Milan is just so frustrating, Miguel. And there's a lot of positives that Milan play within themselves, and they can create, but I mean, the finishing is lackluster. Kudos to Torino. Juric is a great manager. I really like him. I like the way his teams play. I mean, just kudos to him. Milan don't deserve this. I mean, I guess there's no extra fixtures for Coppa Italia coming up the next couple of months that you could kind of be happy about, but it's marginal compared to what the other teams are facing. So yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to win this competition. I wanted a trophy separately from winning the league title. So now what we were talking about earlier was there is no Scudetto more than likely at this point with the rate that Milan's going at. No Coppa Italia. Have a trophy chance next week. Supercoppa against Inter. Both played 120 minutes. I don't know. We talked about how rough this stretch would be. What are your sentiments like going into the weekend? Because again, if we just go off of today isn't much to go off of. Today is just, it's negative, and there's nothing else left to say about it.
I think even though it does seem that everything is negative for us, I feel like this is kind of one of those things where Milan put themselves in a bad position and they magically get it together and they go on this run. I feel like that's exactly what happened last year with us faltering the January Scudetto, as they say, to enter. And then we had a very positive stretch of games where we ended up winning the Scudetto. I think that that could be the same thing here. Two disappointing results back to back. So now you have Lecce on the weekend. You fight your demons out there, and then you prepare for the final, and you win a trophy, and then you continue to do your best in the league, and then you prepare for Tottenham in the Champions League, and then you fight your demons one by one from then on. Because, like we said earlier, this is crunch time for us. These next fixtures are going to be super important, and they can make or break the season for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at this point, what Milan is aiming for is whatever you could do in the Champions League is great. In terms of advancing, as far as Scudetto goes, you will have to try and win every single match. But it's slowly turning into, can we get top four? Still tons of games left. There's 21 Serie A matches left. We're still technically not even at the halfway point, as I mentioned to Sant'Angelo and many other people. People were really concerned about how things went after some of these friendlies and how they were playing. We do have a comment here from Jalal. I want to get this up. You can tell the players were not enthusiastic at all. I hope Obeg leaves. I don't know why. Adley is just clearly under this Hauge umbrella of the fans think he's better than he actually is. The manager sees what's happening day in, day out, and he's making decisions based off of that. Hauge is playing in the Belgian league right now. He had to get loaned out from Frankfurt. He has 2 assists in the league. Okay? At some point, we kind of have to trust what's going on with the management and what they see day to day. For me, then, at that point, Adley needs to be loaned. He needs experience within Serie A, and he needs to go somewhere because, again, with the way the schedule is, he'll get plenty of game time if he can go somewhere. I think he has enough quality and enough time to adapt within the league that he can come back in June, and we could say, okay, this kid we have a better idea of what type of player he'll be. I think it was good to loan him to Bordeaux, but it's obvious that at a certain point with the expectations that Milan want, you have to get players that are more prepared and ready to go. Because if you're trying to win a title or multiple titles, that's what you need. You can't just kind of reload with this guy's going to be a project for a little bit. Do I love investing in young players and helping them develop and become better? Yes, absolutely. I get that. But it's Milan at the end of the day. You eventually have to raise your standards for this type of play. And there's a lot of players within this squad that aren't necessarily in the starting 11 that don't cut it at this club. I'm sorry. Pobega, you can go. All right. Franks, I don't know. If they want the option, fine. Adley, probably got to go. Gabbia, got to go. Salamakers, got to go. Macias, go. That's a lot, right? And that's just off the top of my head. Chow, we don't really know. Kier probably on his way out. Left back, we don't have a left back. Fotoballatore, you can go. That's a lot. That's a lot of names, and it's interchangeable. Backup goalkeeper, get that fixed, whatever. I mean, that's why locking down some of these players is so important. And I kind of mentioned it again, and it came true today during the match. We miss Krunic for a match like this. Way more stability. Way more stability. I don't think you see as many stupid, silly mistakes as you did.
Even Rebic.
Yeah, I mean, just causing chaos, just being a demon, just doing whatever we can. And for me, it's not a lost season. I think it's just disappointing in the sense that you thought Milan could have started to go on a run of a couple of titles or being the best team, where it's kind of not the case. And again, it's funny because they played better than they did last season in terms of results, this many matches through. Obviously, other teams are better now, Napoli. Which, again, historical start. It's one of the best starts in Napoli history. This is what it is, and you have to give credit to clubs sometimes. Like, you have to. And for me, I don't have too much of a takeaway. I'm not going to overreact to this, because again, it's kind of like, to me, what I was seeing today with this play was exert as less energy as possible, because these were
Exactly.
not. This was Miguel. They're shooting 30 yards out almost every single
They
time.
had
Like they're
32
throwing.
shots and 8 on target. Like,
I
how do
I
you not put the
tweeted
ball in the back of the net?
I tweeted how this was just reminding me of Montella, where it's like, okay, you think they have something in the buildup, but everybody's shying away, and then you just shoot there, and it's not even close to any of them. It's just, it was an embarrassing and woeful performance, and it happens. Like I have nothing else left to say. I had a weird feeling. I didn't say we were gonna lose, but it was
The
bad vibes
confidence
around
wasn't
this game.
there.
I didn't have any
Yeah.
confidence for this. For Lecce this weekend, eh. I how do we operate without Tonali? When it's Tonali Benacer, it's clearly better. But it's like, who's stepping up in that position? Man, I don't know. I don't know with that. It's really difficult, and this is where the depth comes into play. And again, there's two different approaches. I think the types of players that Milanisti wanted in the midfield or in the squad costs more than what they could afford.
Exactly.
Again, and I'm not making excuses. It's the reality of the situation. Do I want it that way? No, of course I don't want it that way. I want a war chest like Young Hung Lee gave us. Or took it from someone, Elliot, and gave it to us. Because you can't just like do that. Again, it's still very difficult to scout the way that they scout and hope they hit. We see it all the time in our professional sports over here in America. It's awesome when you hit on a guy that wasn't projected to be a guy that's one of the better players in the league, right? Like Benacer, if teams knew how good he was going to be, he wouldn't have been under 20 million like that. Okay.
Exactly.
It's great to hit on that. Awesome. But eventually, the more sustainable way to do this is buy proven commodities, and they're not necessarily buying proven commodities in top leagues because they cost money and they don't have money. They're not
It's
going
it's
to
almost
spend it.
like it's almost like we're changing our motto here and we're becoming a breeding ground. Like we're trying to be like a Borussia Dortmund where we just buy talent, we make them better, and then we sell them. And I don't really think that's the Milan way. Of course, in our past we've sold some really phenomenal players for decent prices,
Great
but
prices, man.
it's almost like we're changing the route of, we want to be champions, and all of these things come down to play with, not owning our stadium, with what happened with Young Hung Lee and the mess that Maldini and co had to clean up for the past three
Yep.
seasons. All these things come to effect to come and hurt us, and now management really have to figure it out. Are they gonna go big next summer and actually buy some
Hmm.
reinforcements, or are they gonna continue to invest in young talented players and have to wait 2 or 3 seasons for a final product on these players that they're buying in on?
And then you realized it in matches like this. It's just you just like see that it's not at the level that you could think. Sebastian Zavala and hello, Sebastian. It's genuinely just not at the level that some expected. I think like after the summer, it was kind of like, all right, you expect more from a couple of the summer signings, but
Hmm.
it was just more of the same. Some of the results that happened last year for Milan were scratched and grinded out, like the
Hmm.
Giroud goal against Napoli. It's about sustainability. They play well, but there's not enough goal scoring, and the defense. Like I mean, we could just talk about the defense real quick. They're not stopping teams
Hmm.
from scoring. They have like they're genuinely not. I can't even think of the one of the last. It's pretty funny because I think Juve and Milan went in opposite directions in that one match they played in
Hmm.
terms of defense, where Milan shut out Juve. Juve did nothing. Juve usually have been doing nothing against us, just mind you, okay? And then they go on this incredible defensive run where they're more than deserving of where they're at. And Milan are just they're keeping teams in these matches because they've done enough to win some of them, but they're not doing enough to prevent them from tying or winning some of these even. Um, and then again, you saw more a sense of urgency after the goal today.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that? Then go and kill it off when you had the red card to begin with. You had 20-something minutes to go and attack them nonstop and create a good chance. It's Giroud back heels there, passes out over here, circle it back around, Cross is not beating the first man. That's not good enough. It's never been good enough on any level for any team. And again, Milan Coppa Italia woes continue. It's going to be at least 21 years from the last time that they lifted this trophy. Pretty crazy again. One time only since 1977. Wow. None of the players. We have a good amount of players on this side that have not seen Milan raise the cup. There's been a couple of them. Some of them played today. I haven't seen that. It's just not a good team in this. Very annoying. Only because when you see the graphics of the trophy counts for other clubs come out, and you're like, all right, well, FA Cup 15 times for Arsenal. Anthony's in here. Anthony LaFleur. We were not clinical on our chances. Yep, as always, Anthony. evergreen type of comment with this team. We're coming up on 20 minutes here. We didn't really want to take too much time with this. Lecce's this weekend. Quick comments on Lorenzo Colombo. Is he going to score on us this weekend is the real question.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does. We saw Maldini score against us in the Spezia game. So it's something that could happen. And maybe it's one of those things where, he's like, hey, you guys sent me out on loan. I'm showing you what I can do. Give me a shot. Because at this point, you're banking on Giroud, who maybe has 1-2 more years left in him. Don't get me wrong, he's playing well for his age. Zlatan's coming off of the injury. He's not going to be around for much longer. You have Lazetic, who's probably going to go out on loan. So, Colombo is really the next idea if management isn't going to bank on spending 70 million on a new striker when they have
unlikely to happen.
Exactly. They have other areas that they need to figure out, like the midfield, the backup defenders. We don't have any backup defenders for Theo or Calabria. We signed Dest, but that's a loan deal. That's going to expire. Ballo-Touré isn't the greatest. So, we honestly don't know what's going to happen. So if Colombo does score against us, maybe that'll be something that'll work out in our favor in the future.
Yeah. Again, I think for Colombo, I think you have to get around like 10 goals to be considered to come back to Milan. I think he is developing well at Lecce, Anthony. I agree with you. He scored in some pretty big games. His hold-up play has improved. And again, what I was telling Santangelo over the weekend was Colombo playing the way that he is playing and the things that he is getting better at is exactly what he needs to improve upon. Again, Pobega, there were some numbers there that were good at Spezia, but not good enough to be a consistent starter there and warrant a return to Milan for a team that wanted to push in that direction. That's why the loan to Torino went. If Colombo did well at Spal, scoring banger after banger, which he did, okay, incredible technical goals. Like for a guy who's very strong and built well, for a footballer, really impressive. Then the hold-up play is there. He had a really good run at the far post against Lazio to tap that in. There's different types of ways that he's scoring now, and it's not just a singular, like, oh my God, look at the worldie he scored. Because everyone knows worldies are not sustainable. That's not how, like, it's incredible when Zlatan does it. It's incredible when Ronaldo scores an overhead free kick, but those guys give you 25 to 30 goals. What else are you going to give us, Lorenzo? And he's improving and giving us more. It has to be at a higher rate at Lecce, just to play at Milan, though. Just to play at Milan. It's again, is he better than Lazetic right now? Yes. Would it be because again, this striker situation, like you mentioned, you're sitting there saying Giroud at his age, he gets one more year probably. Zlatan, this is it. This has to be this past 6-7 months. Then you're looking at, okay, we either have super young dudes, and I know Origi's kind of in the mix loosely. Super young dudes, a CDK be false nine. Like, what's that about? I think you just need to suck it up, shut up, and pay the fee of a guy, possibly Jonathan David, in installments, maybe. Give him 30 up front, the rest installments. There aren't many options, like Santangelo mentions. Gianluca Scamacca, that ship has sailed. So yeah, that's kind of where Milan's at
We
right
missed
now.
out on Isaac as well from Real Sociedad. He's at Newcastle now. That was an
60,
opportunity there.
60. I think it was like 60 million he went for, right? So
Yeah.
good luck. That's our record deal. Again, it's funny, like people are kind of forgetting that anytime you bring up a player of this caliber, it's going to be Milan's record signing.
Mm-hmm.
AC Milan's record signing is going to be anything over $45 million or euro. That's the reality of the situation. So that pressure is going to come along with it. I mean, listen, we'll see what happens, guys. But as of right now, Milan is in full Serie A mode. This is all Serie A. Rule out Coppa Italia. You could right the wrongs of the past week or so, by the past 4 days, excuse me, not even a full week, by winning Super Coppa next week. I think really like that's what can turn around the morale, or it could go south. But knowing what type of Inter we'll get, there's no chance of knowing. I think as of right now, though, I'm not too sure how serious Inter take next week. Maybe they take it very seriously. But the way Inter has injuries at the moment and the way they've been playing, I mean, man, I like your priorities have to be top four. Then Inter's in an even bigger financial crisis. They're in one. Skriniar probably not extending. Dumfries probably the guy getting sold. You miss top four, you're not going into the Champions League. Inter's kaput. So and then again, there's also the side of it's a trophy against Milan. They want to go for it. We'll see what happens. Miguel, everybody can follow you there at Miguel AJ29. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Martino Puccio. Follow, sub with Twitch Prime. If you do have that, it's greatly appreciated. If not, always cool to hang out, have comments. Anthony, great to have you in here. Sebastian in here. Miguel, any final comments before we head out, by the way, that you just want to talk about? Obviously, we had you on earlier today, so we plugged everything. You could just replug again.
Yeah, just give me a follow on Twitter. Hopefully things go well and we progress against Lecce this weekend, and then we can bring a title back home with the Super Coppa.
Yeah, that would be the first one since 2016 in which Milan defeated Juve. Kind of a fugazi one. We only got in because we lost to them in the Coppa Italia final, because it obviously wasn't from winning a trophy. But yeah, again, unfortunate day for Milan. They lose 1-0 to Torino in extra time of Coppa Italia, officially eliminated. They are just in now Super Coppa, Champions League, and Serie A, and that's it for the rest of the way. Unfortunately for that. And again, follow AC Milan Bros on Twitter. Follow Matt Santangelo on Twitter at Matt_Santangelo. Going to be coming back to you guys this weekend when we face off against Lecce. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, Miguel, thank you so much for stepping in and up today. Always great talking to you. Great for having everyone else in the chat. Sabrina, Anthony. Anthony says it's a Super Coppa toss-up. Yeah, I agree as well. It's a derby. Anything happens. Thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of your night.